I was looking at our numbers. We're in the South, and people ask me all the time, like, what's your average? If you don't know your average contract, you need to know it.
Yeah.
Ours is just under $15,000,
Yeah.
averaging between two locations.
Hmm.
It can be higher than that, whatever. Um, we're trying to hit 35% gross profit, but generally, if we do 30%, that's an acceptable. We're accepting 30%. Um, that's $4,200 around that.
12,000, 35% of 12,000 is 4,200.
Yeah,
So
so
that's the number I always use. The only
that's
reason
great. That's a
I'm
great
not like
number.
a savant.
That's a great. But $4,200, people are like, oh, 4,200, make that in a day, right? Easy roof. They do not think about all the things you just talked about. They're looking at that large number. And I'll go back again even further. If you're listening to this, watching this, and you have a salesperson and you're not even doing $1 million, or you're right around a million, like if you don't have a process in place, you're gonna fail. It's too much money to pay somebody to do a job that you should be able to do.
It's your business. What if
You,
you
you
can't do the job?
yeah, you
Like,
got to you got to sell. I'll give it some leeway. You got to sell $800,000 by yourself. You got to. You
yeah,
have to do that. But you need to sell your first million really by yourself because the acquisition cost is so high. You just don't realize it. You're like, why do I? That letter was great because I've lived it definitely early on. I still sometimes feel like I live that, but um, yeah, like why do I not have any money? And it's because of all those things. You're looking at the 4,000, the $5,000 ticket, and you're not even maybe even thinking about the commission. I don't know why, but you're not. But let's say you don't have to pay commission. You still have real dollars leaving your business to get that customer, and it is way higher than you think. It's not $300. It's not $500. Like it is real. I don't care. I mean, canvassing is door knocking is a very affordable way to do that. There's still real costs though. There's still real costs that are happening that you just don't realize. Because I have a
and
bunch
there's
of friends.
general overhead. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing is like you have your actual so you I could come up with not even the net on the average job, but I could come up with like less than gross, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
if we're talking 12,000 as average, 4,200, 1,800 cost per acquisition, maybe $1,000 commission, that's $2,800. 4,200 minus 2,800. So that's $1,400.
I literally just wrote that down. That
Yeah.
exact
So
number. I just wrote that down in my journal last week. Same
so
exact numbers.
1,400 times three jobs or whatever your ad spend allows. And then the problem is like, once again, no one thinks about this is like, oh no, I made a few thousand or I'm good with breaking even. It's like, oh no, 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 no. Breaking
No,
even is
losing.
not is losing.
Yeah.
So and what people don't realize, and this is why I say the $1 to $3 million people are underserved. One, they don't usually have massive cash reserves. And like I don't sometimes they do, which is fantastic, but a lot of the times they don't. And we've all been business owners. Like it's nowhere near as easy to stack cash as you want it to be. Like, especially as you're making decisions, you're investing in this, you're trying to grow your business, you're trying to grow your knowledge, like you're all over the place. But what people don't realize is like the big problem is one, how long it takes for a job to get fully collected and scheduled and all of that. And two, the fact that you are having to make a less than 1x ROI, 0.75 or something, but then you're spending the same amount of money the next month. And it usually takes around 8 months. At $3,000 ad spend, 2,500 with some of the numbers I broke down. Just trust me on this one. It usually takes about 8 months before you actually begin having more money in, like more money made than you had put in. And that's not possible for a lot of people.
No. And it's real. Like for all the people that are we have friends in agencies, like it's real work. Like if you're a roofer listening to this, like it's not fake. It's real work. And
Yeah.
uh it takes a lot of time for to work on the algorithm, all those things that you're saying, Brad, it's true. Like it's
Well,
not a
and
lie,
that's the
guys.
problem is like, so that's what I always like. The next part in that same letter is I want to let you know if you've experienced that, it's not your fault. This is what so many people are telling you to do, and logically it makes sense, but you are set up to fail from the start. The problem comes down to cash flow cycles of roofing businesses and how that relates to what a realistic marketing strategy is. But now that you read this, you got to make sure you don't piss Albert Einstein off, because Insanity's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You got to make a change. You got to figure out what's actually happening and really begin to look. You have to look at your numbers. You have to look at your cost per acquisition, and you can go a couple routes. You can go I'm going to spend this money and allow myself the runway, and I'm going to hustle extra hard so that I can cover the investment, knowing it's not going to make me money for a while. That's an option. And that's what a lot of people should do. But the thing is, that's not the only option. So, like, there's things you could grow exponentially. I just told y'all, like, the 3 appointments for every job. You can grow exponentially without running a single paid ad. And it doesn't mean you're knocking doors all day either. Like, you just have to, like you said, John, like, you have to have solid processes. You have to have processes around a lot of things. People like to get really honed in on one thing. Processes around production, processes around like how we're selling. And it's like, honestly, like, selling a roof is kind of hard, but not that hard. The biggest lever you have is not the hand-to-hand combat of sales. The biggest lever you have is getting in front of qualified people. But a lead and a qualified appointment is just so far from the same thing. And a qualified appointment has a lot of cost associated with it. And the cost can be either front loaded by building a solid process. It can be in real time by spending a bunch of time just to generate that qualified appointment, or it's money.
I'm glad you said that. We talked about this last week, I think, AJ, about qualification of leads and niching down into your services. And I'll just say it again, like you need to niche down to 1 or 2 things, maybe 3, but every single thing, every service that you offer has a complete different set of processes. It can have different sets of crews, sales tactics. Like there's all kinds of things that make it difficult to sell multiple different things. And the reason I bring that up is because you mentioned in your letter getting those leads, those 12 leads. You said, well, it's like roofing, repair, siding. Like we don't want those. It does not help a roofing company get those other types of leads. I don't care if your guys say they
It
can do it.
increases your cost per appointment to niche down. So I'm not saying no.
No, I get it.
That makes the economics even more important to understand and to respect and to react to, or ideally be proactive about, because you're listening to this and you're a smart roofing business owner.
That's right. I would say I'm going to give it I think my opinion really will stay this way because I've done everything. I've literally started my business.